guys, and welcome to Tavira, Portugal Travel and Living. Here we are with Rob and Ricardo, and we are here to share a real life story from the US, expat moving to Algarve. Can you please talk a little bit about yourselves?
My name is Rob Fusey, and my husband Ricardo and I have been in Portugal for a little over 2.5 years, and we came from Atlanta, Georgia originally, and have no regrets moving here. We love it.
Yeah, moving here was one of the best decisions we've ever made. Honestly, I think it's one of the best decisions we've ever made together.
Yeah.
Perfect. Can you say to us the exact motivation why did you leave the US?
There's a lot of reasons. I think ultimately when we came to Portugal for the first time, we really fell in love with the culture. We fell in love with Porto originally, and we realized we wanted to move abroad and started looking into it. And since we loved Portugal originally, we started exploring the southern coast, all of the Algarve, and really fell in love with the Algarve. And the beaches, the climate, the people, everything's a lot slower, a lot more relaxed down here. So that was one of the main reasons we left, is we wanted a slower life. Outside of political arena, it was for the two of us to not have the crazy lifestyle that we used to live in Atlanta. And so that was the motivating factor for us.
Of course. So you always had a plan to live here long term? Was it actually happen with time? You know?
I guess I mean,
Yeah, we always said we wanted to live abroad, someplace in Europe, and we wanted to travel more. But we were also at a point in our lives where we realized we wanted to slow down.
Of course.
And that's exactly what appealed most to us about moving to Portugal. Portugal's slower pace of life was very appealing to us, but also the beautiful beaches, the rich culture, the kind people, the delicious food, the beautiful beaches. Did I already say the beautiful beaches? I think I already said it. Obviously, I love the beaches.
So yeah, it's good that you mentioned the slower pace of life, of course, compared to the US, because the US is always, you're always on the red line,
Right.
you know, always organized in every little sense. So shifting from a very high pace of life to this kind of mindset that it's actually in the Portuguese cultural entity. Let's make it like this. That's how we are. You know, it's work on a slower level. How was it? You know, did you adapt well? It was kind of the services, I guess. It was the bureaucracy takes longer, but did you adapt well to that?
I think between the two of us, he was much more equipped to just slow down immediately. He was ready. It really took my body a whole year to really slow down physically, just to not feel like I had to rush to go to the grocery store, rush to go anywhere. Your body kind of has to adjust, and it took me longer than it took for you, I think. But ultimately, I mean, that's a very good thing because it's a better quality of life. But definitely the bureaucracy here, I don't think the bureaucracy in any country is ideal, but for us, we were very lucky. We had a lot of good resources online. Other expats from America and other countries that were very helpful. So navigating the bureaucracy was a little time consuming, but not impossible. And we were able to manage it pretty much on our own. We did have some professionals kind of at the very end before we submitted all our paperwork for our residency visa help us just to make sure everything was good. But for the most part, I know everybody says oh, the Portuguese bureaucracy can be really crazy and really slow. And I know there are aspects of it that are, but for us, our experience was actually pretty quick. Now, granted, this was 2.5 years ago before a lot more Americans were fleeing America.
Exactly.
So it's a little slower now, but we had a pretty good experience, I'd say, overall.
Very good.
Yeah.
And I'll only add to that I was easier to transition to the slower pace of life here just because I was ready for it. I was working in a very high stress, fast paced corporate rat race environment. And the change here is exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for a place to slow down and just going to a coffee shop here where you don't feel rushed to in and out. You don't see people walking away with to-go cups with coffee because here people really enjoy sitting down and having their coffee and just starting their morning with a beautiful routine. And I love that. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about Portugal and the culture.
Perfect. So we have to say that there were some habits you have to unlearn, right? You know, I guess because it's different. What would you say that is the major differences between the Portuguese and the American culture? What would you like to say about that?
Well, again, the slower pace here, so that's a big difference. I'd say I think the Portuguese people are more personable. I'd say Americans are friendlier in general. When you're traveling abroad, you can always spot an American because they're usually a little bit louder because they're boisterous and they're trying to make friends. We're like dogs. We want to make friends everywhere we go. I think the Portuguese are a little more reserved in that sense, but they're very warm and you know, if you're trying to speak Portuguese or you're trying to understand them in their language, it's been our experience that they're very welcoming and very, you know, friendly. I don't know, what else can I say? Like in terms of
The biggest differences between American culture and Portuguese culture. For me, I think one of the biggest differences is that Americans, like this is generally speaking, it's a stereotype, of course, but Americans across the board are very motivated by money. And oftentimes, as Americans, what we do to solve a problem is throw money at the problem. And you can't really do that here. If something is going to take a long time, it's just going to take a long time. Even if you're throwing money at the problem, it's still going to take a long time. And that's just how it is here. I think the people overall here are less motivated by money because they're too busy living their lives, and they're having that coffee and they're taking that time off. And I think that's a better way to live. I think it's a better way of life, in my opinion.
Of course. So I guess it shows the Algarve too. Because of the slower pace that you're looking for compared to Lisbon, it's a big city. Over 1 million people living in there, and Porto, which is a big city as well. So coming back to the slower pace of life, I wonder if that's one of the things that you were actually really looking for was a slower pace of life, and or you just fell in love with the Algarve for the beaches because of the beaches, like you said. So I guess it was.
When we started looking online at the potential possibility of moving to Portugal, one of the things that we kept seeing online was that a lot of people were saying, oh, well, if you like Porto or if you like Lisbon, you have to check out the Algarve because the Algarve has all of what you're looking for in these places, but it also has great temperature, great climate year-round, beautiful sun, beautiful beaches, a ton of things to do. So we said, okay, we'll go check it out, we'll see what it's about. And we already loved Porto, but when we came to the Algarve for the first time, we loved the Algarve even more. And we said, okay, this is where we want to plant roots.
Yeah. Good. And tell me a little bit more about the physical and logistically process about moving across the Atlantic. Was it a hard thing because you had your own life over there, your own jobs, everything, you know, and furniture, you know, because you bring containers here, right? So
we were probably the crazy people who shipped things here. I don't know if we would do that again because it was a lot logistically. We had to go back to the United States twice to make sure that our furniture got into the crate, got into the ship, got into whatever. So that was a little stressful. I mean, again, it's something anyone can manage, but it was definitely, yeah, for us, we knew we were moving here once we got our visa approved, and then we had like a month before we could arrive in Portugal on the visa. So we had a whole month where we had already finished kind of wrapping up our career, our jobs in Atlanta. We had rented our home in Atlanta, so we had somebody moving in, so we had nowhere to be for a month. So we spent a month kind of traveling in the United States before we came to Portugal. So that was kind of an adventure, but also logistically kind of stressful. And then we arrived in Portugal, and Ricardo had already found us a rental apartment, and he arrived a few days in advance to kind of set that up, like set up the house for us. And then we arrived, and then my mother moved with us, so her and I arrived after that. So logistically, it was a lot of moving pieces. It was very stressful, and we had a dog that we brought with us. So, there was a lot of things you kind of have to learn online, or you hire an agency, which a lot of people do. We did not, so I guess that put a little more stress on the both of us. But I look back at it now, and I think it's kind of just like a blur. Like somehow we managed to get here, and somehow all of our stuff made it, and nothing really was broken or missing, and it all worked out the way it was supposed to. And we find that for the most part, when things work out the way they're supposed to in Portugal, and you just kind of have to trust the process. And so far we have, and we've never really had any regrets or any letdowns. So, you hear horror stories, but we've been very fortunate that we got here, and somehow we've managed.
Of course.
And I will say that moving abroad to any country is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
It's gonna be scary and overwhelming, and there's a lot to learn. You're not only learning a new language, you're learning a new culture, you're learning a new way of life, and you're having to adapt to all of that at once. So you're also learning new grocery stores and new products, new brand names, and you can't find the things that you're used to at home, your creature comforts, but you find new things that you like here. And so that's all a learning process, and that's part of why I think that first year felt like a blur for us, because we were learning so much. And I think something that has made it so easy for us is the community that we found here, and making friends like you, Andre. Like, you've come into our life and you've really helped us find a beautiful home. You put us in contact with so many other people that can help us, like my barber. I love my barber. You were the one who recommended the barber to me, and so it's just like little things like that. You need to know the people who can put you in touch with the right network.
Of course. So it was good that you mentioned regarding the property search, which those ones who don't know, I was the one that coordinated all the search for the dream home. Let's make it like this. And so it went well, even though it was me. You can be real.
No. Honestly, my background, as you know, is real estate. So my mind works very similar to, I think, the way yours does. His is a little different. He wanted something that was done and move-in ready, and we could walk everywhere. But the house that you found for us, that we ultimately bought, was a huge project. Which, again, you were very helpful with project managing and getting it renovated for us. But I mean, we're very happy with it, and I think it was definitely worth it in the end. Renovating here is definitely different. I mean, it's hard in America, so people that have a background or have knowledge of what it's like to renovate a kitchen or a whole house in America, it's different here. It's a different way of building. It's a different way of life, obviously. So it was a huge learning curve. I enjoyed it because that's something that interests me. But working with you was great. You showed us a lot of things. You showed us things that we didn't necessarily think were what we were looking for, and ultimately that's what we ended up buying. And I appreciate that, because you showed us pretty much everything in the areas that we were considering in our budget, and sometimes agents won't do that, like at least in the States, or in my experience, they'll show you 2 or 3 that they know you'll like, and it may be a good fit, but there might be a better option. They just don't show you because it's going to be more work for them. So most people probably wouldn't have shown us that house, because then you're still helping us a year later with the renovation. But I think I have no regrets. I don't know, Ricardo I think he's happy with the house now.
Well, I'm very happy with the house now, but I will be honest and say when you first showed it to us, I think you saw it all over my face.
We're like,
I was like,
"Nah,
absolutely
hell no.
not. I
Hell
do
no."
not want
Yeah.
this house. But my husband has a vision, and so do you, and you know, and that vision has come to fruition. I love where we're living now. I love the property. I love the location. I love our neighbors. And I'm really happy where we ended up.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you had told me a year ago that it was gonna look the way it does now, I wouldn't have believed you because it was such a transformation. But you found the place, found the perfect place for us. It checked all the boxes, and we're both really happy.
Yeah.
So like everything in life, it I guess it made you grow as you know, individual, made you stronger as a couple as well. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Breaks you
challenges,
down and, yeah.
a lot of challenges, individual and as a couple. And now for the final question, tell me, comparing to the States, what's the quality of life? What's the balance between both? Tell me.
It's for us, I think, much better. We have more. We have more of our own time now. You know, it's never cheap to live anywhere. It's not cheaper necessarily to live in Portugal because, you know, we spend more money on travel. We spend more money entertaining or being social. But I think the quality of life for us is much better. We're not running ourselves ragged. Like when we have dinners or lunches with friends, we actually enjoy that time. We're not rushed. We're not, you know, rushing back to the office. We're not rushing back to work, whatever. I think that's the biggest thing for us. We have more of our own time to do what we want to do. And that was the whole point to come here. So, and just kind of slow down in a lot of ways. So for us, the quality of life is better. It's simpler.
Yeah.
For sure, but we have a great community of friends.
Absolutely. And the only thing I would add to that is at the beginning I said moving here was the best decision we ever made, and I maintained that is definitely the best decision we've ever made because our quality of life has improved drastically. And one of my biggest fears nowadays, now that we live here for over 2.5 years, one of my biggest fears is that I'm gonna wake up one day and we still live in Atlanta and we never made this move and that was all just a really nice dream. And that's a real fear that I have now because living here feels too good to be true.
Yeah.
So I guess that you fulfilled your dream some way or another, right? And you're living a good life.
Yeah,
You know, not away from the States with all that rush all the time, and the quality of life is better. So that's why so many Americans are moving here. You have over 1,000 Americans living in Tavira at the moment, which is amazing. You
Wow.
know,
I didn't realize the number was that high, but
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me. There's
It is.
more of us. Yeah.
It's really a big community in here. Okay, thank you very much,
Absolutely.
Yeah, of
Rob
course.
and Ricardo. It was amazing to have you in here,
Thanks for having us.
and I'm always happy that made friends
Yeah.
like you. You are not just clients. We evolved
Yeah.
to being friends.
Definitely.
And of course, I would like everyone that wants to comment, feel free to visit our channel and help us grow. It's always good to have experiences, real life experiences, and this is the proof that they are being real.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Any questions? Feel free to comment on the video itself. Thank you.